everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today. I think something's wrong with my camera. Okay, there. So I tried using the filter effect. I'm not sure if it's working. So anyway, we'll use this one. I think this is a lot better without the filter. And my internet's not working really well. Okay, let's wait for you guys to show up and then we'll start this conversation. It's Monday once again, and welcome to another Motivation Monday. Of course, our topic for tonight is all about inferiority complex. We've all faced this dilemma about, being small or feeling small. So tonight we'll talk exactly about that, and we'll wait for you guys to show up. And I know I have been absent for a couple of days. I'll tell you why. But hey, okay. There. I think it's now working. Okay. Sorry, I think I'm sweating too much. Ito kasi mga pakulo ko ngayon, nakamaong jacket. Hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit kasi kailangan mag-sleeveless sa maong jacket din naman. Diyos ko, Lord. Anyway. Hello, mommy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. Ay, dahil dyan sa live show na yun, bigla ako nagtakip ng katawan ko. Baka iba yung expect nila. So once again, everyone, good evening and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, it's Irene. Just in case you missed me or just in case you forgot about me, it's also fine. I'm a real estate broker in the Philippines. I'm also a motivational speaker and a writer. And I have been quite offline for the past couple of days because I was feeling kind of low because we are moving from one place to another, and it kind of felt like I'm not really that sentimental person. I've lived my entire life traveling and moving from one place to another. There's this one city that I really, really, really love. I think most of you have already heard this from me, or maybe you've read it from my previous posts. So I had to move out of the city. I've basically not really lived there for more than 10 years, but it's pretty much where my life was at for more than 10 years. And so moving out of that city was like a big step for me. So I kind of felt like, I've built so many dreams there, achieved so many dreams there, and then I had to get out of it. I was feeling really like a big deal of separation anxiety. And so I was like, oh, maybe I should move on. It's Monday. Maybe I should move on from my feelings last week. So now I'm back. Okay, I'm fully recovered. I'm refreshed. And here I am once again talking blah, blah, blah for the next couple of minutes. So tonight is all about inferiority complex. Nothing connected with my dilemmas last week, which is, maybe some of you were like asking me what happened last week. I was like, yeah, I was moving from one city to another. It was a big step. It was not only a big step, but it was a major change because we have to move, like the refrigerator is still right beside me. You can't see it on the camera, but it's literally right beside me and I don't really know where to place it yet. So and a lot of stuff are like literally in front of me, but I cannot show it. It's really embarrassing. So I haven't really packed them out yet. How do you say it? Unpacked. Yeah, I haven't really unpacked them yet. So it's a disaster. So it's like moving from one city to another, packing, unpacking, then the next thing is just putting everything in its proper place. It's really driving me nuts. So that's what happened last week. So to those of you who were sending me messages, also my Facebook Messenger was blocked for some unknown reasons, and I cannot send messages through my SMS. I cannot make phone calls. Imagine what a disaster my last week was. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. So now, since it's Monday, I have to recover, and here I am. So anyway, oh my God, there's a lot of messages. So let's read. I've been talking a lot like for the past couple of minutes. So let's say hello, Sir Joseph. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, and welcome back to us. We're both live once again. Hello po, Sir Errol Aquino. Sir, good evening po. And of course, sending prayers your way, Sir Aquino. Uh, Sir Joseph, okay, live show. Anyway, I was corrected. It's not a podcast because podcast now is only audio. And it should be video cast because it's a video, right? So it's a live video. Anyway, the reason for changing the live sesh term is because one of my mom's friends or students, I don't know who that was. Anyway, it was funny because it was really innocently said. It doesn't have any malice or something, any ill intent or something. It was so he or she said to my mom that he or she is watching the live show. It's like, oh my god, I almost fainted. So it's not a live show. Okay, let's correct that. It's a live sesh or a Facebook live or a video cast. But let's just call it podcast. It's easier. Okay, na. So that's why a lot of people are saying that it's a live show. I posted it on my personal Facebook account, but I changed the live sesh to what's this, to podcast. Hello, Sir Rico Pagmano. Good evening po, sir. Thank you so much for tuning in. Vange, Cardo de Lisa. Di ba dapat pag Cardo de Lisa, dapat leather jacket. Hello, Sir Ariel. Good evening po. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hashtag 8 p.m. Thank you so much for the hearts. Ay, nahalata, no? Batang 90s hearts. Kasi hearts daw ngayon ganito pala. Yun, nagkamali na naman ako ng nahalata yung edad natin dito. Nagkakaalamanan ng edad dahil lang sa symbols. So anyway, our topic for tonight is all about inferiority complex. I'm very passionate about this topic because I've experienced this like ever since I was young. And if you've watched previous episodes, by the way, the previous videocast, podcast, live show episodes, you can now see them on YouTube. Because a lot of my friends signed out of Facebook, they deactivated their Facebook accounts and they specifically requested that maybe I can upload them on YouTube. So we did. And now you can actually see some of the previous podcast episodes on YouTube. So if you have time, if you want to watch through your smart TV or you want to watch through YT without logging into Facebook, you can definitely do that. So we have several podcast episodes there. So, but anyway, in my previous podcast episode, I talked about building self-confidence or building self-esteem. I think that was the topic. So I mentioned there about my story, about how I was able to build my confidence. It was a tough job, being pressured by the society around you or by the community around you or by your environment. It was really hard to thrive in a place where everybody's just so great and so smart and so everything, like everything's going on. So it was hard. So I had to build my confidence from scratch. And so one of the things I really had to fight against is inferiority complex. And let me talk about that in a way that I understood it, in a way that I experienced it, and in a way that probably some of you also experienced it. So if you can relate to the topic, please post your comments. Siyempre, pag nakarelate kayo, post nyo lang dyan, di ba? Para naman may kausap ako. Kasi isang linggo nyo akong na-miss. Kung hindi nyo ako na-miss, okay lang din. Ako na-miss ko yung sarili ko. Joke lang. And na-miss ko mag-podcast. In fairness, this makes me happy because I know that I can somehow connect to people. And hopefully, some of you can gain some insights from this podcast episode again. Hello, Ma'am Evangeline. Thank you so much for tuning in, ma'am. Hi, May. Thank you. And thank you po sa mga likes and sa mga hearts. Ayun. Nawala tuloy yung script ko. Hold on. Okay, so let's first define. Hi, Ma'am Cla. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so our topic for tonight is all about inferiority complex. And again, this is our topic under Motivation Monday. So sometimes we are not motivated because we feel, or we are in that state where we feel that we are small. Okay, small. Hello, Sir Noel. Ano yung top fan badge? Hi! Okay, so what's inferiority complex? According to American Psychological Association, it is a basic feeling of inadequacy and insecurity deriving from actual or imagined physical or psychological deficiency. Okay. Did you cry? Today? No, I did not. I'm just puffy. I ate a lot of carbs, I guess. Thank you, May. Sige, tune in ka. Baka marami kang ma-pick up from this episode. Okay, so again, it's a basic feeling of inadequacy and insecurity deriving from actual or imagined physical or psychological deficiency. Sir Noel, late ka. Nag-explain na ako kung bakit. No, I'm not hiding something. What did I hide? Yes, Lord. I know. Thank you so much. Garble ka, ma'am. Nagme-mix po ba yung sound ko? Sige, I'll speak slower. I think it's really my internet connection. Kasi umulan, so laging dahilan yung pag umuulan, medyo choppy yung signal. Okay, so again, a basic feeling of inadequacy and insecurity deriving from actual or imagined physical or psychological deficiency. So actual, meron ka talagang actual physical or psychological deficiency, or most of the time, the inferiority complex actually comes from imagined deficiencies. Imagine mo lang, feeling mo hindi ka sapat. So, inferiority complex is defined as such. So, what are the signs that you may have inferiority complex? Kasi, minsan, meron tayong ganito, pero we don't really know if we are experiencing it. We don't have a label for it. And, the beauty of science is labeling things so that we will understand it better. That's why I really love psychology, because it explains a lot of things. It cannot explain everything, but most of the time it explains most of the things that we are going through. So, ano yung mga signs? Una, you're always aiming for perfectionism. So, if you're always aiming for perfectionism, what is there sa perfectionism? Siyempre, pag perfectionist ka, walang sablay eh. All angles or all corners covered, walang mapipinta sa'yo. So, pag walang mapipinta sa'yo, hindi mo ma-feel na maliit ka, or you wouldn't feel inadequate because you know that you have all bases covered pala. I think that's the idiomatic term. So, if you have all bases covered, you wouldn't feel inadequate because you know that you've already got everything in control. So, yun ang unang sign that you have an inferiority complex. So, I didn't know that until this research. Okay, so this was based on research, by the way. Next is, you are comfortable being behind the scenes. Okay, this may come as a surprise. I have always known myself to be very outgoing. I have always known, kahit ako mismo, alam ko sa sarili kong outgoing ako. I got used to being really friendly. I'm very sociable. But then again, when I took the exam for being an introvert, extrovert, and ambivert, I was highly introvert. I was surprised. It was I took it several years ago with ano ba tawag dito? With the assistance of a psychologist, and I found out that I was actually an introvert. So that's why, kaya pala, somehow, I was very comfortable not being a frontliner. I was comfortable working behind the scenes. And I thought na I was happier when I'm working with people, but apparently hindi pala ganon. Marami palang panahon na masaya ako behind the scenes. So, it can be, just being an introvert, or it can also be that you're comfortable, or you're more comfortable being behind the scenes is because you are experiencing inferiority complex. When you don't feel adequate, or you don't feel like you're enough for something or for someone, lagi kang hindi ka komportableng makihalubilo sa mga tao, right? So that's a sign that you may have inferiority complex. OMG, really? Oh no. Can you hear me na po clearly? It may be my internet. Can you hear me now? I cannot cut. I cannot cut the connection. Can you do it again? Oh, but it's working though. Pwede po pa thumbs up if you can hear me clearly. Otherwise, I'll go live again. Kasi sayang ng topic natin. Okay, I think you really cannot hear me. Sige, Hi everyone. So I reconnected. I'm not sure if my audio is clearer now. I'm gonna do this again because the audience is requesting to do it again because the audio is not working earlier. So let's wait for you guys to show up and tell me if it's working. There. Can you hear me now? Clearly. It's challenging. Challenging times for the internet. Hi there. I really don't know who's watching because I can only see the numbers but not the people. So, hi! Hello, sir. Good evening. Malinaw po ba yung sound? Because earlier it was really breaking so bad. Hello, Sir Taya. Good evening po. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for being there. We'll just wait for the rest of the people to show up because I had to cut my first episode because it was really bad. The audio was breaking. So now we have to wait for the rest of the people to find out that I did a re-live. I don't know how to call it. So I had to reconnect. And we'll wait for a couple of minutes so that they will find out that we're here. Thank you, Sir Tayag. Thank you po. Better na po ba yung audio natin? Like, can you hear me now? Or can you hear me clearly? Kasi kanina it was really breaking. Like, people are saying that it can't be heard. Okay na po ba yung audio? Yay! Thank you! Ayan, antayin lang po natin sila. Pasensya na. Nawawala kasi kanina. Super nagbe-break. Thank you po, Sir Tang. Okay. I think people are finding their way now. Thank you so much. I had a very bad connection earlier. So again, welcome back to our episode. It's Motivation Monday episode. And then our topic for tonight is all about inferiority complex. And we started earlier about the science of having inferiority complex. So we started with aiming for perfectionism. And then the second one is comfortable being behind the scenes. Thank you, Sir Pagmanoha. Good evening po. Thank you, thank you. I can't even see the numbers now. Nawala yung mga numbers. Naglolo ko masyado yung yung internet ko, OMG. So anyway, thank you po for tuning in. Thank you everyone for following the reconnection. Ayan. So next sign that you may have inferiority complex is when you're easily offended or when you're highly sensitive to criticism. People with very low self-esteem or people who are experiencing inferiority complex will definitely feel attacked when they are being criticized. Kasi nga, syempre pag mababa yung tiwala mo sa sarili mo, feeling mo, nilalait ka ng mga tao when they are giving criticism. So, yun ang isa sa mga signs that you have inferiority complex. And again, I'm saying this not only because of the research, but also because, as I've mentioned earlier in my previous live, yung kanina, I mentioned, I'm saying this with a very passionate heart because I personally experienced having to go through inferiority complex. It's really challenging. Ayan. Thank you, Dobby. Thank you. All right. Next is, so yun, easily offended or highly sensitive to criticism. Next is you find faults in others. You know, when you're feeling small, you will also try to make other people feel small. So you try to find faults in other people. That's why when I realized that I was suffering from inferiority complex, I had to change my mindset. It was really hard. I mean, I'm not saying this na pagka-realize ko meron akong inferiority complex, I changed 360 degrees and then it's done. No, it was a process. So having inferiority complex is really something that we have to improve, and we have to first raise an awareness that we have it. Because if you're still in denial, like if you can't accept that you have inferiority complex, you know, it's kind of hard to address it if you don't even admit that you have it. Hindi mo pwedeng gamutin yung isang sakit na hindi mo alam. So same with inferiority complex. If you don't know you have it, how will you be able to manage it, or how will you be able to change it? So ganon. All right, so next is comparing yourself to others and only feeling self-worth when you feel like you're better than others. Okay, ulitin natin yon. Another sign that you may have inferiority complex is when you compare yourself to others and you're only feeling your self-worth when you feel like you're better than others. So, kinukumpara mo yung sarili mo sa iba. Tapos, mafe-feel mo lang na okay ka kapag worse yung kausap mo. Diba? May ganon. So, okay, well, this is a no judgment space. This is a safe space. We can talk about this. We are not to judge anyone who's posting anything on our chat box and also on our message box. And also, if we are going through this dilemma, we are supposed to talk about it so that we can address it. Wag nating itatago kasi the more that we keep it to ourselves, hindi natin siya basta-bastang ma-address. So let's talk about it. It's okay to feel that you're going through inferiority complex. It's a normal thing. Okay? So again, when you compare yourself to others and you only feel that you're okay or you're enough when you feel like other people are lesser than you are, or they have less than you do. Next is ito pang isa, another sign that you may have inferiority complex is when you are having a hard time accepting compliments. Okay, tinuturo ko to sa communication subjects ko. So, kung mga estudyante, ako dyan, na naging estudyante ko sa communication, narinig na nila to sa akin. In our culture, kapag kami nagbibigay ng compliment, uy, Ivory, ang ganda mo ngayon, sagot mo, di naman. Di ba ganun yung sagot? Hindi ko alam kung bakit. Pero nasanay tayong ganon. Hindi naman, o kaya, mas maganda ka. Parang pag sinabi sa'yo, Ivory, ang ganda mo ngayon. Tapos sasagot ko, hindi, mas maganda ka. Laging ganon. Why don't we just accept compliments, diba? So one of the reasons why we cannot accept compliments or we find it hard to believe that we are being complimented is because maybe we're experiencing or we're having inferiority complex. Next is, nasan ba tayo? Hirap pag wala sa lamin. Okay. You think people have ulterior motives or you assume the worst. Okay, it can also be called as trust issues. Baka may trust issues ka. Kasi common naman yun, di ba? Lalong-lalo na ngayon sa panahon natin, di ba? Sa panahon na meron tayo ngayon. Parang common na meron tayong trust issues. But it can also be because we have inferiority complex. That's why we are finding it hard to believe people, to trust people. And we are finding it hard to believe that people do not have ulterior motives. It's maybe because we have or we are suffering from inferiority complex. Okay, another thing, ito naman yung mga sobrang trigger happy. You're focused on thoughts that are upsetting you. Okay, so mas nagfo-focus ka sa mga bagay na nakakapagpasama ng loob mo. So, pwede namang masochist ka. But also, maybe you're suffering from inferiority complex. Because remember, if you feel adequate, you will not constantly remind yourself of the things that may upset your feelings. Okay? So next is, this one is alarming, and at the same time, you really have to recognize this. You shut down when you feel shame, guilt, embarrassment, or defeat. I think my screen's blinking. I'm not sure. Can you still hear me po? Can everybody still hear me? My screen's blinking. I don't know why. So, naririnig pa naman po. Ayan. Thank you po sa like. Thank you sa thumbs up. Okay. So, you shut down when you feel shame, guilt, embarrassment, or defeat. It can also be because you've been canceled when you were a kid. Yung parang parang sinasabihan ka ng parents mo maybe or ng family mo maybe na huwag kang umiyak or masama yung ginagawa mo, yung mga ganon. So, merong mga ganon na tumatatak sa atin na kapag ka umiyak tayo tapos sinabihan tayo na masama yung ginagawa natin kapag umiiyak tayo. Eventually, when we are getting older, dala-dala pa rin natin yon. So, we're not comfortable expressing our emotions or feeling those emotions. Kahit ma-feel nga kahit hindi na ma-express, kahit ma-feel na lang natin, shutdown din natin. Kasi nga, yun yung experience natin ng mga bata pa tayo. So if you are a parent watching this, help your children express their emotions. If they cannot express, at least let them feel the emotion. Kasi, the mere fact that you are trying to block these emotions, eventually, it will become a stranger to them. And once these feelings become strangers to them, paglaki nila, mahihirapan silang i-handle yon. So, habang bata pa yung mga anak natin, let's help them, let's encourage them to feel these feelings. Let's encourage them to understand the feeling. Unti-unti, paintindin natin, bakit ka umiyak? Kasi may masakit. Kaya umiyak. For example, di ba may mga ganun na tumba? Huwag kang iiyak. Hindi ka dapat umiyak. Baby, di ba pag boy, lalong-lalo na pag boy yung bata, huwag kang umiyak. Hindi umiiyak yung mga, hindi dapat umiiyak yung mga lalaki. Ganon, di ba? So, meron tayong ganong way. So, at an early stage, we are trying to block these feelings. And at an early stage, we are telling them that it's not okay to feel. And then eventually, when these children become adults, nahihirapan sila mag-process ng feelings nila kasi strangers sa kanila yun Hindi nila na-feel yun nung bata sila. That's why sabi nila, may tinatawag, di ba, na sheltered. May mga batang sheltered. Okay? I'm not sure if you've encountered the word, but when you're sheltered, yung parang masyado mong binakuran yung anak mo na hindi siya nakaramdam ng kahit na naalala ko nung bata ko yung sinasabihan na kahit madapuan ng lamok, hindi nadapuan ng lamok. So parang ganon. So dapat maramdaman kasi ng mga bata yung iba't ibang feelings habang bata pa sila. Okay, the feeling of fear, the feeling of anger, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of sadness. Pero syempre dapat hindi galing sa atin, Dapat kusa nilang maramdaman. Para ma-recognize ng brain nila that these are normal feelings. And then eventually, when they grow older, they know how to handle this. Kasi the moment na blinak natin ng blinak, magiging kakaiba yun sa kanila. Hindi nila magigets kung bakit nila na-experience yun when they're older. Okay? So next is, Another sign that you may also have inferiority complex is when you withdraw from relationships. Ito yung mga taong somehow lumalayo sila sa mga tao. They feel isolated or they isolate themselves. Or they can also be those people who are commitment phobic. Nahirapan sila mag-commit because they feel that they're inadequate. They feel that they are not enough as a person. So, dahil hindi nila nafe-feel yon, hindi nila kayang i-commit yung sarili nila because they don't feel enough. Okay? So, these are the signs that you are probably experiencing inferiority complex. So, again, this is not a bulletproof formula. Okay? You can read more about it. You can also explore more about it para mas maintindihan natin yung sarili natin. The more we understand ourselves, the easier it is to understand other people. Okay? So, hindi ko alam kung naririnig niyo pa ako, pero sana naririnig niyo pa ako. Please let me know if you cannot hear me. See, parang napaka-passionate yung nung pagkakasabi ko ng mga bagay-bagay. Sayang naman kung hindi na record or hindi narinig. Okay, so how do we overcome? So, ngayon, na-realize na ninyo, out of 10 signs, nag-positive ka dun sa 7 signs. So, baka meron nga akong inferiority complex. No, that's not a very bad news, okay? It's not something that we cannot solve. That's why we are raising an awareness, because we want to know how we can handle it, how we can solve it. So, simulan natin. How do we overcome an inferiority complex? We start with acceptance. Okay. Lagi to, isa to sa mga keywords ng mga podcast episodes ko, acceptance. Bakit acceptance? First and foremost, we have to accept that everybody feels small sometimes. Hindi ka nag-iisa, hindi lang ikaw ang nakakaramdam na maliit ka. Wala akong mahanap na ibang Tagalog word. So you're not the only one who experiences this way. Okay, naalala ko doon sa desiderata. Remember that there's always someone greater or lesser than you are. So it's not something unusual. You have to accept that everybody feels the same way every now and then, or maybe at one point in their lives. So normal lang siya. You have to accept it. Hindi ka masamang tao for feeling inferior to other people. Okay? Next is, stop wanting to be someone else. You know, when we were kids, sa mga kaedad ko dyan, when we were kids, we didn't really compare our lives with other people because we didn't know how they lived, because there wasn't Facebook back then. There was no Facebook pala. There was no Facebook back then. Nakikita lang natin yung mga kapitbahay natin. Yun lang, ganun lang. Nakikita natin bumili ng fridge yung kapitbahay natin, bumili silang oven, ganyan kasi bagong delivery, 'di ba? Ganun noon eh. Tapos ganun, we just look at them, and we don't look at those people with ano ba ta, yung may bahid. We don't look at those things with bahid ng inggit or bahid ng sana all. we don't look at things like that, because when we were younger, we didn't have Facebook. But now, with the advent of technology, Facebook has shown us that there is so much to life that we're missing. And because of that, ang tendency, we want to live somebody else's life. Na buti pa si ganito, buti pa si ganyan, buti pa si ganito, merong ganito, buti pa si ganyan, nagkaroon ng ganyan, 'di ba? And we suddenly feel so bad about our lives. But let me tell you this, let me just remind you. Every person has his or her own unique journey. I keep on telling this in different podcast episodes. I'll say it again and all over again hanggang sa maalala natin paulit-ulit. We don't have to live somebody else's life. We don't have to. We have our own lives to live. Kung ano man yung meron, yung ibang tao, hindi natin alam yung pinagdaanan nila para makuha nila yon. Iba-iba yung pinagdadaanan natin. Isa nga sa mga, ito yung masarap pakinggan nabasa ko somewhere. don't compare somebody else's finish line to your starting line. To your starting, yeah, di ba? To your start. So, kung finish line na siya, wag nating i-compare yung starting line natin. Kasi it would really look bad. Kasi tayo magsisimula pa lang sa karera, yung iba tapos na. So, the mere fact that we are comparing ourselves to somebody else, that in itself is not a good behavior. It's not a good habit. It's not a good practice. We have to stop that. We have to stop wanting to live like somebody else because we have our own lives to live. Hello. Hello, Sir Joseph. Thank you po. Thank you for tuning in again. Okay, next is build your self-confidence. And if you haven't watched the SelfConfidence podcast episode, you can do that. We already have our podcast episode sa YouTube. Visit YouTube. You can just type sa search box Irene, and then it will hopefully lumabas yung mga podcast ko kasi it's relatively new, but you can go there sa YouTube and then look for the previous podcast episodes. You can also visit this channel, browse yung mga videos. Marami na tayong podcast episodes that you can learn from so that you can build your self-confidence. Okay? And again, just to remind you, self-confidence, just like building a house, it takes a lot more time. And for some people, it's easier. For some people, it can get a little bit challenging. But nevertheless, building self-confidence is a journey. You have to take that journey. And it's a unique journey. It's a unique journey for every person. So if you're building your self-confidence, and if you need help, you can send me a message dito sa channel. I will do my best to help you out on how to build your self-confidence. And again, I'm not perfect, but I also learned a couple of tricks on how to build self-confidence. So kung gusto ninyong marinig yun, send me a message if you need it. Okay, next is be selective with the relationships that you sustain. We also had a previous podcast episode about who to keep in your life. So, sa mga nakapanood, alam nyo to, yung in-enumerate ko kung sino nga ba yung mga dapat nating i-keep sa buhay natin. So, isa doon ay yung A-team, di ba? I mentioned about the A-team or the group of people who will boost you, who will boost your self-confidence, who will pull you up if you need to be pulled up. Yan, who will never pull you down. Sila yung mga taong yun. So, always have a group of people who always want to support you, to sustain you, to pull you up, or to motivate you. Kasi sila yung mga taong kailangan natin sa buhay natin. And of course, when we build our teams, we should also be a team member of somebody else's A-team. Hindi pwedeng ikaw lang. Hindi pwedeng ikaw lang. Hindi pwedeng ikaw lang nakikinabang. Dapat ikaw din, member ka din ng A-team ng ibang tao kung gusto ka nila sa team nila. So, I have a lot of A-teams. May marami akong tao sa sarili kong A-team. Kasi, syempre, iniisip ko rin kung sino-sino sila. And then, for example, si Sir Joseph. So, kung kasama ko sa A-team niya, so isa ako sa mga taong tatawagan niya pag kailangan niya ng boost, parang ganon. So, if you know who the people are that you need to keep in your life, you have to keep them. You have to make them happy too. And then you also, keep in touch with them. Kasi when you keep in touch with the people who boosts your morale, who are always there to support you, who will never ever pull you down, ito yung mga taong kailangan mo sa buhay mo. Kasi may inferiority complex ka na nga. Tapos yung kasama mo pa, laitera, di wala na. Nga. So, dapat, let's make sure that we are with the right company. Sabi nga, diba, you are an average of 5 of the people that you're with. So, if you have 5 people who are very, who are productive, who are hardworking, who are smart, who are always optimistic about life, who are always enthusiastic about life, pasasaan ba't mahahawaan ka nila? Kesa naman sa puro negative yung kasama mo, di ba? Puro negative-minded. Mahirap yon. Mas mabilis makahawa ang negative kesa positive. Except pag COVID ang pinag-uusapan. Okay? So, it's mindset that we're talking about. Next is, Kasi baka sabihin niyo nakakahawa. Hindi nakakahawa yung negative pag COVID yun. Pero pag mindset, mas mabilis makahawa ang negative mindset. Okay? Next is, okay, so increase your self-awareness or frequent reality checks. And this is exactly why we're doing this. Marami tayong podcast episodes so that this will somehow raise an awareness about what we are doing, what we're currently experiencing, and what we probably do not understand about ourselves. Because it's important that we do understand ourselves, because it's impossible to understand other people without first understanding ourselves. So raise an awareness, constantly read, constantly check on yourself. Ano ba yung nagiging response mo when you are facing a certain dilemma or when you are facing a certain situation? Diba? Alamin mo kung paano ka na-respond. And then, i-assess mo yung sarili mo. Was that a good response? Or does my response need improvement? Or tama ba yung response ko? Baka mamaya mali. Baka exaggerated yung response ko. Mga ganon. So, always check on yourself. Kasi it pays to understand yourself first before you can understand other people. Hello, Sir Padilla. Good evening po. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, next is, okay, ito rin. Confront your fears. Although hindi to madali. Sobrang hindi to madali. Ito yata yung isa sa pinakamahirap gawin. Pero, paunti-unti, we can confront our fears. We can try. Okay, we can try. Hindi. We should not try. We should do our best to conquer these fears. Okay? So, kung ano man yung fear na yon, kailangan mong gawa ng paraan yon. Hindi po pwedeng mamatay ka nang hindi mo na-face yung mga fears mo. Okay? Next is, figure out possibly why you feel small or seek help to figure this out. Another thing that I said earlier during this conversation, during this one-way conversation, is about raising an awareness, right? So, if you don't really know what's going on, you just feel small, you just feel inferior, but you don't really know what's the cause. Maybe you can go back to your childhood, you can go back to your grade school, high school, college moments, teenage moments, after school. What were your experiences? What were the things that probably traumatized you in a way or two? Maybe the things that hurt you so bad that made you feel inferior. So, i-check mo yung lahat. Kung hindi mo talaga malaman kung ano yung dahilan, then again, you can talk to somebody else. You can tap your A-team. And again, my lines are open. You can definitely send me a message. Baka malaman natin yung sagot pag may kinausap kang ibang tao. Kasi minsan, kapag lagi lang sarili natin yung kausap natin, ang hirap. Ang hirap, minsan hindi siya sumasagot, di ba? Kausap mo lang yung sarili mo, hindi siya sumasagot. Minsan dinededma niya. Kayong dalawa na nga lang yung magkausap, hindi pa siya sumasagot. So, kapag hindi sumagot yung sarili mo, maghanap ka ng ibang kausap. Ganun lang yon. Para dalawa na kayong mag-iisip kung ano ba yung cause ng inferiority complex. Hi, Grace! Thank you so much. Oh my God. Speaking of school, ayan, andyan yung mga ever-supportive kong classmates from college. Hello, kaway-kaway sa mga elites. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. Parang may balak silang mag-roll call tonight. Ayan. Dapat pala I believe we should have an online reunion, no? Dapat ganun yung ginagawa natin, no? Mga online reunion kasi ngayon hindi pwede mag-reunion. Bawal lang social gathering. So, should probably do a live tuloy. An online reunion. Online reunion. Okay. And of course, last but not the least, I believe this is the most important. We should do, or we should tell ourselves positive affirmations. How do we talk to ourselves? It should be in a positive way. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin yung sarili natin na, ikaw kasi, ang pangit mo kasi, o kaya ikaw kasi, hindi ka kasi matalino, ganyan. We shouldn't talk negatively towards ourselves. We've mentioned this so many times in podcast episodes that we've had in the past. And I'll say it again just to remind you, baka nakakalimutan natin. The first person who has to believe in you, who definitely badly needs to believe in you, is yourself. the first person that you have to convince that you're good enough is you. Ikaw yon. Stop convincing yourself that you're not good enough. Stop convincing yourself that you don't deserve what you want. Stop convincing yourself that you do not deserve the dream that you're fighting for. Because let me tell you this, whatever it is that your heart desires, you deserve it. Okay? Except syempre kung ill-gotten yon. Dapat hindi ill-gotten. Okay? So, dapat galing sa kabutihan ba? Ano ba tawag doon? Naubos yung Tagalog ko. Naubos na naman yung Tagalog ko. Isang linggo na nga ako nag-break. Ano ba yun? Kala ko nakaipon na ako. Okay, so anyway. So, we should stop talking to ourselves in a negative way para we don't feel inferior. Kasi, I will be closing my talk or this conversation by a passage from, or a quotation from Eleanor Roosevelt. Okay, so I believe she's the wife of a former president. Tama ba? So anyway, correct me if I'm mistaken. So ang sinabi ni Eleanor Roosevelt, and I've encountered this quotation in high school, I believe, or in college. Sabi ni Eleanor Roosevelt, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." So, ulitin natin, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So, ibig sabihin, we are the only ones causing our inferiority because nobody else can make us feel small without our consent. So, kung minamaliit tayo ng ibang tao at tinanggap natin yon, that's the only way that we will be able to have, or that we will have inferiority complex. We tolerated to feel small. We tolerated to feel inferior. Kasi sabi nga ni Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So if you feel small, that's with consent. Tinolerate mo na ganun yung maramdaman mo. So, the good news is, actually the best news is that you can change this mindset. It's really up to you. Nobody else can convince you otherwise unless you convince yourself. So, think about it. Bago ka matulog ngayong gabi, who among the people around you told you that you're small, that you're inferior, that you don't deserve all these things? Kung sino man sila, well, ignore them. Okay? I'm not saying na ignore them, na hindi mo na sila papansinin, but ignore the words. Because sometimes, ito yun sasabihin ko sa inyo, sometimes, the people around us want to protect us. And they want to protect us, kaya lang sometimes, yung words nila, nakakasakit ng damdamin instead nakaka-uplift. And we can't blame them, okay? We can't blame them because not everyone knows how to communicate their feelings. Not everyone knows how to express themselves. So, wag natin yun i-take against them. I'm not saying na maganda or hindi maganda yung sinasabi nila, but the point is, you have to know how to filter these conversations and take what you can to learn and of course improve yourself. Always do that in every conversation. Kasi kapag lagi nating pinipersonal, 'di ba? Pinipersonal yung mga sinasabi sa atin ng ibang tao, lagi tayong masasaktan. So filter natin, ano ba yung mga kailangan nating makuha from these conversations? Will these comments about us help us in one way or another? Or masasaktan man tayo? Kasi may mga conversations talagang masakit, lalo na pag totoo. It doesn't hurt if it's not true. Diba? Sabi nila, if it hurts, maybe there's some truth in it. Kaya siguro masakit kasi may konting katotohanan sa sinasabi nila. So, improve. Hindi naman, it's never too late to improve yourself. Kung narinig mo ngayon, nasaktan ka, the next day you change it or you improve it, you can do something about it. Diba? Sabi nga, you can move, you are not a tree. You have the power to decide. You have the power to choose. You have the power to act. You have the power to change. So use that power. Everybody has that. Hindi lang ako, hindi lang ikaw. Lahat tayo may power to change. Because lahat tayo, we were given the intellect to process these things. So let's use them to our advantage so that we will be, maybe we will not be the best people because, parang mahirap yung ganong standard. Parang walang ganon. The best ka, parang walang ganon. But we can always aim to become better people. The more you know, the more you understand, the more you learn, the better you do. So think about it. Diba? You have the power to choose, you have the power to decide, you have the power to act, you have the power to change. So use those powers wisely. And you have the power to vote. Nag-vote. Politiko pala eh, no? hindi yun yung gusto kong sabihin. Pero again, you have the power to choose and act and decide and change. Alright? So I hope you are able to pick up a thing or two from our podcast episode for tonight. This is Motivation Monday, and our topic was Inferiority Complex. If you were able to relate to this, I hope you can share this video. Baka meron ding mga tao na gusto tong marinig, or baka may mga taong gusto nating i-share to kasi baka kailangan nila. So we never know. So please share the video if you can and if you want to. And also if you want to have, more conversations like this or more topics like this, you let me know. You post them here, or you can also send me a message. You can also suggest, recommend topics that you want to hear on this channel. We will be more active again. Naka-move on na ako sa sepangs ko, separation anxiety. So I will be more active this week and in the coming weeks. Konting-konti na lang, Pasko na. So let's be more optimistic about, things about life. Hopefully we will all get we will all see brighter days, and let's work together, diba? Let's keep on constantly improving ourselves. Eventually, hopefully, we will also be able to influence others to do the same. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed tonight's podcast episode. This is Irene, and I'll see you again on I'll see you again on Wednesday for our Empowerment Wednesdays. So yung mga schedule po natin is Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, so yun na yung bago nating schedules until further notice. And then we will be having more regular conversations like this. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you all. Bye.